All right, welcome to this Zoom session. We are Saturday, 21st September right now. It is happening live. As always, the recording is going to come up. Now, before I pressed play or started this recording, I asked for permission to smoke my cigar. I was in the middle of it. And this is a very special cigar. It's an Alec Bradley Prensado. I've been keeping it for many years, and it has matured beautifully. So before I waste it, leaving it outside of the humidor, which is that box behind here, I asked for permission to smoke this while we're having this conversation. And what we're going to be talking about here is the final stand. We're going to be discussing some very particular details. And my torch is out, which means I get to smoke this later. We're going to be discussing some very particular details about, and I'm going to open up my notes over here. We will be discussing about private sales, and in particular, the three numbers that are very important when it comes to a private sale. And that is the percentage discount you get in comparison to the launch price, the time frame of the private sale, and the lock-in period. These are the three numbers that are extremely important to look at when getting involved into a private sale. Now, as we know, for United Token, for those of you that got involved in it, the private sale lasted 25 days, which was very nice. It was short, with 5 rounds, and each round being 5 days in total. And then it launched. And then there's also the lock-in period, which is different for each round. So the way that they set things up there was very smart. However, as I was looking into setting up our first private sale, that's Cryptonaire Network, that's me personally, setting up a private sale for the audience, which, by the way, was the most commonly asked question among the accelerator members. So people who have purchased Cryptonaire Accelerator, who've been with us for a while, the most common question was, can you come out with your own private sale for the Cryptonaire network? And now I finally have, and it's called the final stand, and it's happening in a superior way than every other private sale there is. And the PDF presentation is going to display those details very beautifully. And what I might do here is I will end up actually opening up the draft. So this is not a finalized version of the PDF presentation. And I'm going to share the details with you in regarding the private sale. So the three numbers, as I've mentioned, is the percentage discount you get on the launch price. Private sales would be absolutely useless if you have to purchase the token at the same price as the launch price, because there's no advantage to that. So you want to get in at a discount, and that's the purpose of the private sale. It's to get in for the token. The purpose of a private sale is to get as many holders as possible for the public launch, to make as much noise as possible, that is, and to raise funds to do what the token is supposed to be doing, or for the liquidity, or for the marketing, so on and so forth. So it's for those two reasons, is to raise funds, have buyers before it launches, mainly. That's the big reason. And then once it launches, because of the psychology of having buyers and having that many holders from the beginning, what it does is it raises the momentum, it raises the price, and there's already a positive sentiment to the token because of all the people that got involved in the private sale. So that's from the token standpoint. From your standpoint, from my standpoint, what happens is we want private sales at a discount. The bigger the discount, the better. We want the time frame of the private sale to be short. I don't want to have to do put money into a private sale where they launch publicly 3 years later or something insane. I've seen private sales that were going on for 5 years, for example. Absolutely crazy. So for 5 years, you're holding my tokens hostage almost, you can say, because that's a long time. In those 5 years, if I held it in Bitcoin, I could have made significantly more money already. Or if I held it in another Ethereum or whatever the case is, then I could have made significantly more money. So you want a private sale that lasts for a short, brief period of time. And then you want a lock-in period that's favorable for you, where you're able to withdraw funds straight away if you wish, and one where it doesn't cause the token to crash. Now, I've looked at many different lock-in periods, and a lock-in period basically just means you're getting this private sale where you're buying the token cheaper than the market price. When it launches on the market price, if we distribute all of it to everyone, it's like giving away free money, and it will dry up the liquidity. So what we do is we have a lock-in period in order to lock the tokens in, and we'll distribute it bit by bit to you, to the holders. And then that way, the price doesn't crash, things don't crash, and the momentum can still build. And it's a win-win scenario, which is why private sale tokens are my favorite type of tokens to purchase. I love to get in early. When it comes to the crypto market, timing is key. The most important thing is timing. So, speaking of timing, private sales is the most profitable way to get involved into any token. And that stands also the same for the final stand. The private sale for it is going to actually begin very soon. There's a timer for it on the home section of the dashboard. It starts on the 25th of September until the 28th of September. Now, before I get into the details of the final stand, I just wanted to mention those three things that are very important. For private sales, the percentage discount is important. The time frame of the private sale is important. You don't want something that lasts for a very long time. And you want a lock-in period where the corrections are minimal. Most lock-in periods will have corrections that are fairly large. The smarter teams that are launch tokens will create lock-in periods where the correction, that means the dip, once everybody receives the token, is as small as possible with minimal damage, you can say, to the launch price. And I figured out a way to have a lock-in period where you're receiving tokens starting almost immediately, and the corrections are basically zero. And when I was looking at this, I was thinking to myself, why didn't people figure this out earlier? And why aren't all lock-in periods like this? So I set this lock-in period up in a way that it gives you a boost of income straight away. Things will launch. The corrections are basically zero, meaning the dips for the tokens being distributed from the private sale. And the confidence that that will build is going to keep the price rising and going up. People will see that the number of holders that are in the TFS, in the final stand, and then what they will do is purchase even larger. And then, of course, I have a whole plan laid out for getting it as high as possible. My goal with TFS, with the final stand, is to make private sale buyers as big of a margin as possible. And it's not because I'm kind. It's because if you make as big or as high of a margin as possible, whatever we're going to get into next, you'll have more capital to play with, and it's more fun that way to navigate this whole crypto financial market when you have more money to play with, right? So that's the aim for me. That's going to be the aim in the next 300 days plus, when the 300 plus days basically, is going to be to get the final stand to as high of a price as possible. It is to focus on the altcoin season for Cryptonaire Accelerator members, for secret members, and to focus on the membership and the membership platform. So there is, that's going to be the key focus. And during this entire time, there is not going to be another private sale. So until the final stand has distributed all of its tokens, there's not going to be another private sale, because I like to do things one at a time. I like to do things one at a time, because if you try to do things two at a time or three at a time, God forbid, then what happens is your attention is in a few different directions, which means you can't do as well as if your direction, as if your focus was in one direction. So the one direction my focus is going to be on is taking care of the members, not bringing in more members. And it's not going to be about bringing in as high of a commission for you as possible by adding another private sale in. It's purely going to be, let me get to work to focus on bringing you as big of a number as possible, as big of a margin as possible with the final stand. And the way to do that is with the game plan that I set out. And I will actually give you the draft. I'm going to actually show you the draft of the final stand PDF presentation. We're going to go through with it, and we're going to get started on it. So let me just pull it up, and I'm going to share the details with you. So I'm just downloading it now. In the meantime, the record day of deposits was, in Cryptonaire network history, by the way, was Thursday, 19th September 2024. That was 2 days ago. Was the record number of deposits. It wasn't the largest day. It wasn't the largest amount in one day. It was the largest number of deposits. And that shows you how big the final stand is really going to be, because the PDF presentation isn't out yet. I've been talking about MintHub. Literally, I think it was on the message before. I literally was just talking about MintHub, and I didn't even give an action step where I told you like what to do exactly. So it's very good numbers, very good numbers. I haven't checked for today. However, it is absolutely incredible numbers. So I'm just downloading it right now. The final stand presentation is just loading up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go through some of these details. Who's excited for the details? So it's just opening up right now. Guys, unlike MintHub, unlike United Token, my PDF presentation is very direct, very simple. where I'm just getting straight to the point. So I'm just going to open this up now. Let me know if you can see my screen. I think you should be seeing the document. Am I right? Guys, you can see the document, right? The Word document. All right, we're getting a bunch of yeses. Buttons, yes, the final stand. I asked my designer to make something, make it so that the Cryptonaire network members are behind me. I'm in front of them. I'm shielding them, and we're going to war. And it's called the final stand. And this is what he came out with. So, what do you think of this design right here? It's very cool, huh? So that was the inspiration to it. And I said, that's it. We're going to go with it. Let's go. Whoops. Let me just retrace over here. Where's the zoom? Zoom, zoom, zoom. Why is it showing two pages at the same time? Ah, whole page. There we go. This is what I was looking for. All right. Now I think the wordings are easier to see. Am I right? That's me where that's me actually edited me in there. That's that, and then that's the logo for Cryptonaire. So I really like it too. All right, we're gonna get to the point. So this is the final stand. I've had to put a disclaimer in because this is obviously something that we're doing, and I'm being very upfront about that. And so what will happen when it launches is no matter what happens, some people will make money, some people will lose money. The ones that lose money are the, frankly, idiots. It's the best way to put it because you know what's going to happen. So don't make a move that you shouldn't make. You want to enter in at the private sale, of course, on the first round, because whether you get in on the first round, second round, or third round, and the price goes up 33.3% each time, by the way. And then after the third round, before it launches, it will go up another 33.3%. So you want to, and then lock-in period is the same for any of the rounds. That means you want to get in on the first round, right? So you got to be getting your deposits in and ready. Now, what some people have done, and this is a major, major warning here to you guys, is they got involved in Mint Hub and United when it launched. Then they panicked when it was in its all-time high. They panicked and they sold at a loss, but they purchased a day after it launched when things skyrocketed like crazy, or 2 days after, I should say. And then they bought and sold within like an hour at a loss for no reason. So even though the price the private sale was available and you had that red carpet treatment, that VIP treatment, you can get it cheaper and everything's fine. They didn't. Then it launched and then they didn't get in as soon as it launched. And then they looked at what was happening and then they got in and then they got out and they lost money. No matter how great an opportunity you have in front of you, if you screw up your timing because of panic, then you're the same as everyone else. And if you're the same as everyone else, no matter how big the opportunity you have in front of you, you will end up unable to capitalize on it. So in order to capitalize on the final stand, I have made it so bulletproof easy. And that's thanks to the locking period that I set up, where you can't screw yourself over and the locking period doesn't cause a correction, even if every single person sells. If every single person sells, as soon as they're receiving tokens, it still causes almost basically no correction whatsoever, which is beautiful. And I'm going to share those details with you here on this presentation. I think you're able to see the presentation, the PDF presentation, and you're able to see me, right? And right now it's a Word document because I'm still editing it. Some people want their faces showing on there with me. I can do that. The affiliate percentage is going to be the same as it was with MintHub and United. It's going to be up to 40%, and that's 10 levels deep. So 10 levels, uni levels. So if you, James ends up promoting it to Caroline, then he gets this percentage of commission. But because he brought Caroline in, if Caroline promotes it to Jason and then Jason purchases it, then James will still make commission on it. So let's discuss, first of all, the details of the final stand. And yes, this is me. I can move it around. So I'll just make this small again. Just a quick disclaimer, past results do not indicate future results. By involving yourself with the final stand, you agree that whether you make a profit or loss, the sole responsibility is on you. I have to mention this because this is an internal token. That means we are making this token. We are not a different entity from this token. MintHub and United are different. So I did not have to do that particular disclaimer. Now we're going to skip the intro over here. The intro pretty much discusses the history on how this all came about. And so we're going to skip this part right here. Now, I discussed about a private sale, the way that we're going to do it, which is going to be a unique way. It's a new way of doing private sales, never existed in the market before. And we're able to do this because of the trust factor that we built. And what the advantage is of doing a private sale this way, and I'm going to show you the diagram and describe it to you and explain it to you as simple and as clear as possible. First of all, the final stand is going to be quick. The private sale is only going to last 9 days. So what that brings is faster results. Secondly, the first ever lock-in period system where distributing the tokens is not going to cause a correction. And that will bring bigger results for you due to positive sentiment. Notice that I said bigger results for you. For the first time in Cryptonaire network history, I'm not going to do what I tell you to do. And it's simply because then I would have it's not my character, of course, but I would have a vested interest, a financial interest to pump you up to purchase it and then to sell it like crazy and dump it on you. From a financial standpoint, if I get involved in the final stand, that would be a financial incentive, not a moral incentive, nor what I would do, but I'm not going to do it. So I will not purchase the final stand. This is for you to make as much money, as big of a return as physically possible. That is my goal for you, because after those 300 days, now we can do some big moves together. Does that make sense? That is why I'm doing it. I'm doing it from a perspective of later, we're going to do much bigger business together rather than a perspective of these next 300 days. I want to also make some money on the final stand. None of that's going to happen. Now, the tokenomics is going to perfectly match to the private sale numbers. Somebody asked, what's the starting price? They didn't watch the video or they didn't focus when they watched the video because we're going to do things a different way. It's the wrong way to create tokenomics first and then to do a private sale and then to launch publicly is absolute garbage. It's nonsense. It's the wrong way. It doesn't make sense from any standpoint whatsoever. But every single private sale in the history of the crypto market done it this way because people ask, what's the starting price? What's the tokenomics? What's the numbers? So that's why I told you that the most important factor of a private sale is the percentage discount, the length of time the private sale is, and the lock-in period. All right. Now, what the price is going to be gets determined after, and I'm about to describe and share with you exactly why. But let me just emphasize again, everything else, except for what I tell you, is the wrong way. And the wrong way has plagued the crypto market from the beginning. And I've spoken to plenty of people about this, and they've all agreed with me. And the only reason, by the way, I will actually go back on the intro. I realized something shocking about all private sales that ever hit the market. Their setup was wrong. And I discussed that my suspicions were confirmed after getting into a conversation with 13 different blockchain developers who specialize in launching tokens. They all basically said the same thing, which was, we wish we can do the private sale first, then do the tokenomics, and then launch it, but people just don't get it. But to put it simply to you, tokenomics is basically saying, here's $100 in one note, or here is 10 notes of $10. That's it, period. There's nothing more that you need to know about it. That is what tokenomics is basically just, how do you want your money? Do you want it in one big note? Do you want it separated into notes and coins, etc.? That's basically what tokenomics is. And depending on the private sale numbers, depending on the number of holders, depending on the liquidity that's going to be poured into it, depending on these factors, they all come together, by the way. If you have those numbers, then you can set up what's called the perfect tokenomics for massive, massive returns. If you don't have those numbers, then what you're doing is you're doing guesswork and it's not tailored to you, right? It's not tailored to you like this suit. It's not tailored to you. It's off the rack. We don't do off the rack tokenomics. We do tailored, customized tokenomics based on the actual numbers. So I discussed those numbers over here. I discussed the wrong way, the old way of doing private sales, and the TFS way. That's the final stand way. So here's how everybody else does it, right? The first thing they do is they create the tokenomics. They say, this is the max supply. This is the starting price. This is the liquidity. This is what's going on here. And then they create a white paper, which is the PDF presentation, essentially, with a plan. And then they create the presentation, and then the private sale begins. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Let's imagine you're going to war. Let's just say there's 100 people versus 100 people. And you don't know what weapons you have available, right? You don't know what weapons you have available. We're talking about warfare here for a moment. You don't know what weapons you have available, but you all of a sudden you're creating a plan. How does that make any sense whatsoever? Or let's say that you want to go from point A to point B. You've got resources laid out in front of you, but you decide, let me create the plan first before I know what's in front of me. How does that make any sense? Does that make sense, guys? Let me know in the comment section. Am I the only one am I thinking this doesn't make any sense whatsoever? So you guys all agree. Dr. Sandler said, I like your approach, very disruptive to the industry. Um, everyone agrees with me. Everyone says it doesn't make any sense at all to do it this old way. But the only reason, there is a reason that people do it this old way. That's the reason is because when they bring a group of people together and say, this is the private cell, this is what we aim to do, people ask dumb questions and they're never called out on it. They say, what's the tokenomics? What's the starting price? What's the max supply? And they're asking numbers that doesn't make any sense to ask, because the answer would never be tailored to the actual private sale that takes place. And you're always going to be shocked. I'm never going to be able to guess what the exact number of holders is going to be, or the exact dollar figure that's going to come in, so that I could create this liquidity, that, this, and the other. I can't guess it to the exact dollar. I can estimate it, but sometimes shocking things happen, like Thursday being the record number of deposits all of a sudden. Things like that can happen. You've got to tailor things to the specific circumstance. So the wrong way of doing it is they do the tokenomics first, nonsense. Then they'll create a whole elaborate plan without knowing what they have available to play with. Then based on that, they make the presentation. Then the private sale begins. Then the private sale ends. Sometimes it takes weeks. Sometimes it takes months, or even longer. For example, Mint Hub took months, almost a year. United took 25 days, which is weeks, right? The final stand is going to be days, 9 days in particular. So after the private sale ends, weeks later or months later, now they look at the numbers and they think, we didn't know it would be this many holders or this few holders. We didn't know this much money would come in or this little money would come in. But because we created the tokenomics, we discussed the tokenomics first, and because we've got this white paper with all of this plan set out, we are forced to stick to the tokenomics and plan. And then the token launches with these forced tokenomics that doesn't make any sense. And this part sucks because it doesn't allow for the maximum growth. Even with that, private sales are still the most profitable types of tokens to get into. And it's the success that blinded people. They see the numbers and they say, well, look, this is the numbers, so there's nothing wrong with it. Just because something is a good number doesn't mean it's a great number. And who even says it's a good number when you can't compare it to a great number? So you can't say something's good or not if there's no comparison. So there has to be a comparison. Now, when it's going to be compared to the way that the final stand is going to go for, I believe it's going to become the standard for how private sales take place. So the token ends up launching with forced tokenomics, which is horrible, by the way. Then the lock-in period causes multiple corrections. Correction meaning that the token dumps in value for a brief period of time. And that was supposed to be perfectly natural until I figured out a way where lock-in periods can have no corrections. And then eventually the roadmap changes anyway, since the private sale is either worse or better than expected. Mint Hub, better than expected. What did they say? Hey, we're going to start things 3 months earlier, 3 months ahead of schedule. They ended up renewing their website. They're getting things together. They're improving on things. Is happening earlier than expected. That's great. United is the same thing. They're starting to work on things earlier than expected. So that's great. But many cases, there are many private sales where things happen later than expected because they messed up by planning things all the wrong way. So either way, the tokenomics and the white paper with the roadmap and everything completely different from the start. Then there is potential earnings, but it can be messy. And in some cases, if they really get the tokenomics wrong, it can get very risky. Right? And when I say tiny, we're seeing some great numbers. So I'm just very, very excited about what the final stand is going to be. But here is how the final stand is going to take place. By the way, did this all the way make sense to you? Why it's wrong? Why it's old news? I just want to make sure that people understand. All right, everybody's saying yes. So that's great. Crystal clear. Neil said that's awesome. Said yes, Crystal. Okay, perfect. So what's this new way then? What's the final stand way of doing things? Right. Let me just. I've got this screen here. You guys can't see it. It is the Zoom. So I'm just moving that aside. Okay. So the final stand way is that the private sale is announced, which it just has been already. Private sale is announced. The goal is clearly set. So I laid out the goals for you already, which is to get as big of a multiple as possible for you in those 300 days. I'll explain why 300 days. And it's actually interesting. It's 300 days long, and that image at the top is from the movie 300 Spartans. So it was coincidence. And then each round is only 3 days long. So it's there's a lot of coincidences here. Anyway, the private sale gets announced, which it has. The goal is clearly set, which is to get you a huge multiple, as big of a multiple as possible. There is no other purpose behind the final stand except to get you, the private sale members, as big of a number as possible. The guys that are going to get involved from outside of Cryptonaire network couldn't care less. If they're making money, if they're losing money, if they're getting in bad timing, if they're getting out bad timing, if they're getting in at a great timing, if they're getting out at a great time, I couldn't care less. My role is that every single person that gets involved in the private sale, period, anyone that gets involved in the private sale is in a big, big positive. So the goal clearly set, private sale announced, done. Next, private sale discounts and the lock-in period announced. The advantage to a private sale is the discount to the launch price, which is why people are interested in the pricing, the starting price, the launch price, things like this. They're not really saying, I want to know the price. What they're saying is, I want to know what's the discount? Why? What's the incentive to getting in the private sale? That's what they're asking. So that is going to be shared, and that doesn't change, and that is locked in, by the way. So the private sale discounts and the lock-in period announced, done already. It's on the video, but I do have a nice image that's going to show it to you in a simple way. After that, the presentation's made, which is the video presentation and this PDF presentation that's getting done. The private sale starts and ends quickly. He should have put starts here. I will get that edited. The private sale starts and ends quickly. It takes days rather than months. So the private sale is going for 9 days only. So that's quick. Now, first round is 3 days. Second round is 3 days. Third round is 3 days. Then the private sale is shut. Then the following 3 days before it launches, the tokenomics get set based on the actual private cell numbers. The plan gets set based on the actual numbers. So it's going to be customized, tailored specifically for the final stand to have the biggest opportunity possible in the open market. And it doesn't even take 3 days, by the way. The moment I see the numbers, even I can come out with very tailored, customized tokenomics that's going to do absolutely amazing, and I could come up with that within a couple hours. So I will be discussing it with tokenomics department. I'm going to call them the tokenomics department, but really we do have a blockchain specialist, and I have access to so many blockchain experts, people who have launched tokens, who know the breakdown of the numbers far better than me. And I'm going to ask as many of them as possible. Here's assuming that a private sale takes place, and this is the number of holders, and this is how much comes in, and this much goes into liquidity. What do you suggest the tokenomics to be in the Solana network? And it's going to launch soon, and the lock-in period is going to be like this. What's your suggestion? And I'm going to have a look at what everybody says, but their numbers are all going to be extremely similar. Takes only a couple hours, but we're going to give a 3-day time frame for it. And then the token launches with the best tokenomics according to the actual private sale results. And there's going to be the first ever lock-in period with no correction whatsoever. I explained it on the video, I believe, on the Zoom session. Let's have a look at, okay, Mintab went up about 7,000% in the first few hours. United went up about 12,000% in the first few hours. Imagine you got involved in a private sale, and as soon as it launches, 3 days after it launches, you're starting to receive token distributions already from what you've purchased, and you're receiving 1% of the tokens you've purchased every single day. Now, even if every person sold and it goes down by just 1%, but let's just say it goes up by 7,000% like MintHub did in the first few hours, or 12,000% like United did. What's the difference between 12,000% and 11,999%? And that's if every single person who receives their tokens sell every single day. Does that make any difference, any correction whatsoever? 12,000% versus 11,999%. Does that make any impact on the momentum whatsoever? If every single person in unison said, we're going to sell the final stand tokens every single day, everything that we receive, and enjoy it and pretend that it's passive income and just enjoy selling it every single day, what kind of impact is that going to make? And the answer is correct on everything that you guys said. No impact at all. No difference whatsoever. Nada, nada. Absolutely not. I don't think so. So that's basically the science behind the only type of lock-in period where there's no correction. It's exactly what I laid out over here. And it's because instead of, so the worst type of lock-in period is to say, here's the public launch, and in X amount of days, weeks, months later, all the tokens are going to be distributed. That's called a lump sum. One sum, bam, here you go. Here's all the tokens. That's going to cause a crash that might never recover. In order to avoid a crash that will never recover, what's happened is that the crypto market, the crypto world has learned, rather than giving away all the tokens in one go, we're going to break it up and give it in chunks. So this is what they call almost like a payment plan. We're going to give it in chunks. But every time the payment plan goes through, it causes a correction. It causes a dump. It doesn't cause the whole token to crash, but it does cause a dump. And depending on how things are broken up, it might also reach a point where it just completely crashes. But the chances of that is far, far lower. Now, there is a way where it doesn't crash, even if everybody sold every single time. And that is if the lock-in period is spread out, the distribution is spread out into instead of into chunks, it's like fine dust is sprinkled every single day into your wallet. When it's sprinkled every single day into your wallet, there's a psychology to it too. Every day you wake up, you're going to look at your wallet. Isn't that true? If I tell you that every single day your wallet is going to have more TFS tokens, what's going to happen is people are going to every single day get on their wallet and they're going to check it and see how many more tokens they've received. And they'll see, yes, I got my tokens. Isn't that the best attention for TFS? People who purchase in the private sale, buyers who got into the private sale now have all their attention on the final stand on a daily basis until the novelty wears out and they notice every single day they're receiving it. But all that free attention, what are people going to do? They're going to end up buying it. They'll say, wow, I love it. The numbers are great. There's no correction, exactly how he mentioned. He's putting in the work. Things are moving up. You know what? I'm going to buy. And they're going to end up buying. So that's the psychology to it. Then at the same time, because it's distributed in the manner that it is distributed, it almost gives it a sense of passive income. Like every single day you can withdraw if you wish without causing a correction, without feeling guilty about it. And you're doing well. So I really, really like that. Dr. Sanda said it won't be easy not to look at every day. Lol. Yeah, absolutely. It's an added benefit. It's an added bonus. Caroline said totally genius. Every new coin will follow this groundbreaking strategy in the future. Very clever. I believe so. Yes. Now I accidentally wrote on the screen here. I'm not sure how to remove that, but just ignore this green line that I made. So we're going to ignore this over here, but here is the details, the launch details for the final stand. Just a quick warning here at the top. This is a very limited private sale. It's not nonsense. I'm not joking around. I don't play games. Deadlines are deadlines. United Token went on for just 25 days. And I did mention it's not going to go on any longer. And it didn't go on any longer. And here we are. The final stand is a very limited time, and there will not be another private sale until the earliest August of 2025. And this is the opportunity of a lifetime right here. Round one is going to be 25th of September until 28th September. Round two is 28th September until the 1st of October. Round three is 1st of October until 4th of October. Why is there another line over here, the red line? After that, 4th of October until 7th of October, the tokenomics are made. 7th October is the launch. And then 10th of October, the distributions begin on a daily basis. So 1% of the tokens you purchase is going to be distributed on a daily basis. So that means 100 days in, 100% of your tokens have been distributed. And then the following 200 days, you're going to receive whatever amount of tokens you purchased, you're going to receive that much more. And that's going to be a bonus. So you're going to get a 100% bonus. And that gets distributed the following 200 days. So for 300 days, every single day, you look into your wallet, more TFS tokens are going into your wallet every single day for 300 days. Guys, it says I keep breaking up. Do I keep breaking up? Can you hear me fine? Okay, it's breaking up a little bit, I've been told. And most people are loud and clear. So that's great. We're going to continue. So round one, the starting price is starting price, right? This is the TFS way. Remember, things are done differently here because it is the superior way of doing private sales. But I do discuss with you over here the discount before the bonus and the discount after the bonus. So the starting price for round one is going to be 199.8% lower than the launch price, which means, okay, um, it's going to be double the price before there's any bonus, 100% higher on the launch. But because of the bonus, you're actually getting it 200% cheaper. You're going to get 2 times cheaper. So if the starting price is $1 of round one, that means the launch price is $2, but then you receive an additional dollar for the following 200 days. So you're getting it 200% cheaper. At round two, you're getting things 133.2% cheaper. And at round three, you're getting things at 66.6. Yes, 66.6% cheaper. So it's a big, big discount. It's a big discount. You're getting round one 2 times cheaper than when things launch. And the lock-in period is phenomenal. 300 days worth of tokens that you're going to be receiving. These are the dates. And Dr. Sanda said, payday every single day for 300 days. This is the best passive income proposition by far. Exciting times indeed. Thank you so much. Be blessed abundantly. We will be blessed when we are going, and we will be blessed when we are going and when we are going out every single day. Absolutely. Absolutely. So there are 3 days. There's a 3-day gap, like I mentioned, between round three finishing and the final stand launching. And in those days, the tokenomics will be announced. If you log into your dashboard, you will notice something very interesting. You will notice on the home section of the dashboard, the stats will reflect everything in USDT value for now, because we don't know what the starting price is going to be, and what the launch price is going to be, and what the tokenomics are going to be. We don't know it because the private sale hasn't been done yet. We can't tell you because the private sale hasn't been done, and I'm not going to play guesswork. If I play guesswork, then the returns are going to be lower for you. And I don't want that. I want a higher return as possible, which is why on the balance section in the home page of the dashboard, it shows you TFS round one, how much you basically will purchase, how much you're going to be purchasing, and it shows you in dollar amount. TFS round two, it shows you in dollar amount. TFS in round three is going to show the dollar amount. After the private sale is done and the starting price is revealed and the tokenomics is revealed, in the balance section, there's going to be another balance section that shows in TFS value how many tokens you've purchased for round one, how many tokens you've purchased for round two, how many tokens you've purchased for round three. Does that make sense? All right, perfect. And then we've got the game plan over here. And there we go. That is the details for the final stance. What are your thoughts on it? What do you believe? What do you think will happen in the next 300 days? Are you going to cash out every day? If you do, it doesn't affect anyone. So feel free to cash out every single day. Vanessa said, I'm excited. Annie said, I'm excited. Chad said, dollar, 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 dollar. Michael said, yes, yes. We've got a lot of interesting, interesting comments over here. Michael said, absolutely extraordinary. Caroline said, I see big dollars. Chad said, go in big. Walter said, could this go on an exchange later? I smoke cigars with people that own the largest exchanges in the market, by the way. I'm not going to mention the exchanges, but we sit, we have cigar and tea whenever I'm ready. Like today, if I want to, I can see him whenever I want. Moonshot asked a great question. Is there any utility for the token? Utility does for the token doesn't make any money, by the way. Utility has zero bearing and zero correlation to token prices, to how a token multiplies in value, and to the bottom line, how much money you make out of it. Sunday says money, money, money all the way. Dr. Sanders said, I have one question for the public participants. What will attract them to buy the final stand token? That is a very complex system that I'm setting up. The two ways to go about it, like I mentioned on a Zoom session before, is I just keep my head down and get to work, or I explain things at the same time. And the energy I put into explaining it's not possible. I've been doing it for 12 years now. I could sell anything and do very well. And everything will also rely on what the private sell numbers are. And things will progress as they progress. However, there are many different systems and strategies that are laid out, many different layers on those strategies that are laid out, that's ready for the outside money coming in. And completely different angles also. One would be because of the tokenomics being nice and because of the number of holders and because of the prices going up, people are not going to buy saying, oh, what is this token about? That's why meme tokens do extremely well, by the way. So there is a play on the blockchain, which is a whole nother game. Then there's, of course, the marketing and the attention that the token will draw. What the token is, no one will care about. Only what attention is it getting and how much is it pumping. So there's a whole game plan, and it's not something, it's not something possible to describe and discuss and talk about in one sitting. And it's not worth the time to have many sit downs to discuss it because it doesn't do anyone any good here, me wasting the time discussing all of those details. But there are many plans already laid out. By the way, has already been laid out, has already been worked on, has already been sorted out, has already been closed, has already been set up. All of that. It's just too much to talk about. I'm actually going to answer this one because this is the blockchain guy who is going to be launching the TFS. Yo, I am in a Zoom right now with the members. And no. What is it? Is it something to do with the token launch? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk later. See you after the Zoom. Albert said the internet will set us free. Absolutely. Shazad said, Rahman, you look very honest, man. I never saw at Zoom like you before in online space. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Those who did the double deposits for Mint Hub or the incorrect deposits, that gets solved before the token allocation. Caroline said, why has nobody thought of this before? I have a theory for that, or I'll give you the answer why people haven't thought of it. Um, People look at what others are doing and then they say, oh, well, everyone else is doing it this way, so it must be correct. So what happens is it's very difficult to break out of the thought pattern of this is how things are, therefore it must be the right way. It takes something, or it takes someone unique, or it's a rare type of person who would look at something and say, maybe let's just assume it's all wrong. How would I set things up? And then to analyze it from that critical standpoint, to critique something that arguably works very well already. For example, who came up with wheels for the first time? Can you imagine how transportation was before that? People must have been the cavemen or whatever. They, I don't know. They must have been picking things up heavily. And then someone said, you know what? The way you're picking things up and moving heavy objects is wrong. And then they invented the wheel. And then they put the heavy objects on the wheel and then they moved things around with basically zero effort. So that person paved the way. Now we've got cars and even planes use wheels to get up. So it takes a pioneer to do something like this. I'm not calling myself a pioneer. It's just that uh, I always look at the standpoint of how do I improve this? How do I improve that? And that's because whatever I work on, I do for a very long-term basis. And the proof in this is Cryptonaire Network. We've been around for a very long time. We have improved constantly. And here we are. So when I looked at doing a private sale, my thought frame was I want to do the best private sale in the history of private sales, which means I've got to do things differently and I've got to improve things. And there has to be holes, has to be mistakes in the way that private sales are made and the way things are set up. And as I was thinking about it, I realized who the heck comes up with tokenomics before they know what they have to play with? So that was it was a very simple one, as a matter of fact. Vanessa said, it tells me you're not a follower, you're a leader. Irene said, and by the way, guys, from the private sale to the Phantom wallet where you're going to receive your tokens, all you have to do is add in your Solana address where you need to. And when the TFS comes out, then the Solana address, there will be a place where you can enter in your Solana address, and then that will be fine. Now, there are people who entered in the wrong Solana address. I want to change it. I spoke to tech. What happened was on desktop, you can see it where you can delete the address if you did it incorrectly and you can add in a new one. But on mobile, it's on the right side. And so I told him to make it mobile adapted, that most of the members are on mobile, and to add in the where to add it in. So they're adding it in very soon. Hamid said, I thank you for this question. Rahman, what is the incentive to buy TFS in the second and third round when I'm going to receive 1% of my TFS every day? I can just buy all I can in the first round. Exactly. There is absolutely no incentive. It would be foolish of you to buy in at the second and third round if you can get in on the first round. The reason, Hamid, that I ended up setting up 3 rounds and 3 days per round is to push people to get in on the first round. You've got to get involved as early as possible on this one because the second and third round is going to have the exact same lock-in period as the first round, and the first round is going to have the biggest discount to the starting price, to the launch price. So panic now by preparing your funds and depositing into your dashboard so that as soon as round one begins, you can press the buy button. Why you want to prepare now? I can see the emails, I can see the messages. So I will tell you right now what's been going on. The amount of regret that pours in on a daily basis. Oh, I missed out because, and the amount of excuses was unbelievable. All of that could have been avoided, most of it, 90% plus of the regrets could have been avoided if you worked under a state of panic and under a state of immediate and right now and today. Because on the launch day, so Thursday was the highest number of deposits, not the biggest deposit day, but the highest number of deposits in one day in Cryptonaire network history. What do you think is going to happen as soon as round one goes live? Everybody's going to be rushing in to purchase. Now, the site's not going to go down. But what if the number is so big that you constantly have to refresh to try to get in to try to purchase because so many people are trying to purchase on round one? And you're not just refreshing to try to purchase, you have to make a deposit because you took your time, even though you could have done it now. So now you're extra pissed because you got to make a deposit. Then you've got to purchase it. So you constantly have to refresh because everyone else is trying to get in. So that's why you want to do things now, basically. The biggest difference between, or one of the major differences between someone who is successful and somebody who's a failure is the failure is a last minute person. Oh, I'm going to do it at the end. Oh, tomorrow is fine. Oh, if I miss this opportunity, it's okay. There's going to be a next one. And that's not called positive thinking. That's called positive nonsense. That's what I'll call it. Positive nonsense, not positive thinking. The successful person is locked into something, go. And he or she does it immediately. There's no buffer period between the action they need to take and taking the action. Failures in all areas in life, there is a buffer period. They say, that's the action I need to take. I'm going to take a 10-minute nap. I'm going to do it tomorrow. And tomorrow, when you wake up, you're going to say tomorrow again. You're not going to all of a sudden say today. So what has to happen, you have to, for those of you that are like that, you have to get uncomfortable one time and say, I've had enough. I'm going to take action now. I'm going to take big, scary action right now. I'm going to get my funds ready in USDT or whatever other token that's available for deposits. And I'm going to make the deposit right now. And I'm going to wait for round one. And I'm going to get into round one because I'm pissed off about my life and I want to upgrade in a big way. And I don't want to do things in a passive way. I don't want to live life in a passive way where life just goes past me and I don't have the freedom to do as I wish. I want the freedom to do as I wish. I've been stalling things for a long time. I've been buffering for a long time. I've been complacent for a long time, but no more. Now's the time. And this is what you need to do because this is the final stand. Josh said the Mint Hub site looks great, by the way. Thank you so much. They've been working on it. They've shown me the sneak peek a while ago, and it looks great, actually. I love how they have done it. Hassan asked a great question. Um, Rahman, how can we organize the earnings for each token if we are involved in Mint Hub, United, and now TFS? Just one Solana address is fine, by the way, guys. That's a great question. One Solana address is fine. In hindsight, I should have put it somewhere in the home dashboard where you can add your wallet in for the Solana, and it should have just been the same for everywhere. Phil said, "Can we deposit into Cryptonaire from the Phantom wallet?" Yes, you can deposit from any wallet. Just check when you go to deposit now in the Cryptonaire network dashboard, you can see which coins you can deposit. It's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tron, BNB on the Binance Smart Chains, USDT TRC20, which is the Tron network, USDT ERC20. So these are the six things. Would have been great to add in Solana, but for now, those are the ones. Beatrice said, why avoid? I don't avoid. MintHub related questions, please answer. What's your question, Beatrice? What is the MintHub URL? minthub.ai. Neil said, brother, my assets are all in MintHub, so I'm panicking about TFS and preparing funds for it. And it depends solely on tomorrow's MintHub token allocation. Need your help on that to make the most of it. Then if you want to do that, what you can do is Neil's token allocation happens, hold until one day before TFS launches and then get into TFS. Where Albert said, when the tokens have been posted to my account, will the earnings be sent to the Phantom app? So here's how it happens, right? Let's say TFS, because now we're moving with, of course, with TFS. MintHub and Solana, sorry, MintHub and United, which are both on a Solana network, with Phantom, are still rolling. Distributions take place and they're doing their job beautifully, by the way, ahead of schedule. Both of them are ahead of schedule and they're doing their job. We don't have to do anything in regards to that anymore. So we'll focus on the TFS. In regards to the TFS, and my only job now for United is going to be to send them the Solana addresses and the amount of tokens everybody's purchased. For MintHub, that's been done already. So for TFS, it's very simple. First step is to deposit. Round one begins. Get involved in round one. There is absolutely no advantage to round two and round three. It's a disadvantage in comparison to round one. You just got to get into round one. You got to make it, just make it for round one and go as big as you can because you're not buying something. I want to emphasize something here. You're not buying tokens. You're swapping you're swapping currency basically. If you're going on holiday, you've got US dollar and you're in the US, for example, and you're going to Europe, you're basically converting US dollar to euros to spend on your holiday, right? So you're not basically getting rid of your money. You're not buying euros in a sense. You're just swapping. And imagine you swap into something where the value of it will skyrocket. Essentially, it's free money that you're making. You're making free money. That's why you can safely go in as big as possible. So that's essentially what it is. Now, what happens? Deposit happens, 25th of September hits, refresh, refresh, refresh. Everybody's trying to get on. Bam, you finally made it to the deposit page. That is slow because everybody's trying to get on. That crashes half the time in the first few hours. You got in, you clicked buy, you're done. You went all in on the first round. 25th of September, done. 26th and 27th and 28th, 1st of October, 2nd October, etc. All happens. You're chilling. You don't have to do anything. Your only other task is going to be to add your Solana wallet address. I'm going to make it so obvious and clear where to add it. You add that in, and that's where you're going to receive your TFS tokens. You do not have to go to the dashboard and when it launches, click withdraw or do anything at all. Just like, almost like magic. You're going to wake up one day, look at your, on October 10th, you're going to look at your wallet and you're going to see, all of a sudden, you're going to see TFS there. Even though you haven't purchased any on the public market, it just pops up there with your first percent. How it works is very simple. I have the list of Solana addresses, number of tokens. I give it to the blockchain guy who literally called me just while we were on the Zoom. And he puts it into the smart contract as he's coding in the launch. And then he launches. And when he launches it, automatically, and it's going to be launched right here on my computer. When it's launched, 1% every day of what you've purchased gets distributed. Once all that's distributed, the very next day, without skipping a beat, 100% bonus that gets distributed in the next 200 days. So it'll be 0.5% of what you purchased every single day as a bonus added on for 200 extra days. So that happens automatically. So you don't have to click withdraw. You don't have to click anything. You just check your wallet and it's going to be in there. And that's because of the line of code that he adds into the smart contract with everybody's Solana addresses and with everybody amounts, with the instruction that 1% of those tokens get distributed every day to that address, the one that you put into the dashboard. And then every day that you wake up, it shows you extra tokens in your in your Phantom, in your app, in your wallet. You don't click withdraw. You didn't buy it on the public market. You didn't do anything whatsoever. It just appears. Does that make sense, guys? It's effortless, completely effortless. My philosophy is if we have to take 50 steps so that you take one step less, we will take 50 steps so that you can take one step less. Kelvin is talking about the 100% slash 200% bonus. Is it going to be distributed during the... I'm not even going to answer. I'm not going to read out the question because it'll confuse people. It's very simple. Let's say that you've purchased, let's say you have 1,000 tokens. Let's make it easy. You've got 100 tokens. 1% of that gets distributed every day starting October 10. So each day you get one token added into your wallet. Bam, 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 bam. You got 100 tokens. The next day, you're going to get half a token. The next day, you get half a token. The next day, you get half a token until you get 200 tokens, which means that's for 300 days. Make sense? Russ said, shall I put the entire 20% Mint Hub allocation into TFS? If I give you that answer, Mint Hub will be slightly upset with me if I tell them to everybody to cash out. That's the answer. Jenny said, what is Mint Hub's marketing strategy? Interesting thing. Let me tell you guys something about marketing strategies. If you asked me what is Cryptonaire Network's marketing strategy, we would be talking for 10 hours a day on Zoom for several days. And then it would still be difficult for you to understand because uh, now I've got to reference certain things to you. Then I might even have to reference books to you, studies, like actual raw data and studies. These guys are experts. For an expert to break down everything they're doing in a way that you would understand would take a considerable amount of effort, which is why teachers deserve a lot more respect than they get because it's difficult. Now, I'm able to articulate things in a very clear manner. I will tell you that I looked at, and I've been doing marketing for 12 years, 12 plus. I need to check well, let's just say 12 years successfully, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, every single second, because I was running ads, making money while I was sleeping based on the marketing that I set up. And then I would check the numbers, then I would adjust it to get the improvement, and I would do split tests. And I would do that constantly for 12 years. Now, if I tell you this is the marketing strategy, and then and you say to me something like, well, I don't think that would work, that would be the most insulting thing ever, because it does work, because I've done the split test for 12 years and I've got the numbers to show for it. So your opinion wouldn't matter on it. And so the length of time it will take to explain why things will work a certain way and why things do work a certain way. And here's the proof that it works like this. And no, this might sound like it doesn't work, but that does work. And the numbers are slightly higher here when you do it this way. And that doesn't make sense, but that's true. It would go on forever. And no one would even have time to implement what they need to be implementing. So what you've got to do is your part, and then Mintup does their part, United does their part, I do my part with the final stand, and obviously with Cryptonaire Network and keeping you informed on everything. And it's very difficult to do both jobs at the same time. There are people on the field, and then there are people teaching the field. And you can't do both. So if I try to teach the field, then I won't be on the field. And if I'm not on the field, you don't get the best results possible. And the only objective for me is for you to get the best results possible. I hope that makes sense. I'll give you a reference. The other day, somebody asked me, and it might have been you that asked me, hey, since we're always doing things on a Solana, since things are launching on a Solana blockchain, why don't you add into the deposit now section Solana? And I said, well, if I add in Solana as another option, the number of deposits and how large the average deposit is going to be lower by adding in the option. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But every single number in every single industry in the history of mankind, in every single product, reflects the same damn thing, which is the more options you give someone, the less actions they take. And I have seen the numbers myself. I've tested it myself. And every single person that has tracked their numbers, not some of them, not 10% of them, not 99.9% of them, 100% of them will say the same thing. The more options I give the members or the customers or the leads or the potential customers, the less they buy. Counterintuitive, isn't it? Shouldn't it be the more options, the better? So there's so many intricate details that is literally impossible to explain. And then things are moving in lifetime also. So what will happen is everyone's brain will get fried for no reason if marketing strategies and plans are explained. Now I'm just scrolling to see any questions I might have missed. And there's a lot of comments coming in, so I'm going to just be checking them. Hassan, you have to rephrase your question because I don't understand. Ah, Babik asked a great question. Our token will be safe on Phantom, especially if we have other tokens. Woo, this is security question. Security, security, security. Very, 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 very important. There are so many ways that people would attempt to clear your wallets. So the best system, the safest system, is when you go to Phantom, create a wallet and use the Solana address, add the Solana address into the Cryptonaire network dashboard when by the way, the final stand launches. Then don't do anything else to that particular wallet. If you want to still use Phantom, you can just click the plus sign and create a new wallet. On my Phantom right now, I have, see how many wallets I have. That's me scrolling on how many wallets I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. I numbered it now. 39 wallets. Because sometimes somebody will have access to your Solana wallet through the blockchain. They'll send you a bogus token and then they'll try to clear your wallet. Things like that happen. So what I do is if I have a substantial holding on a token, I end up not doing anything else to that wallet. Greg said the contract address for TFS will be announced upon launch. Yes. What will happen is Mr. Blockchain Developer, Mr. Blockchain Launcher, Mr. Solana, I'm going to call him Mr. Solana. Mr. Solana is going to be here on this seat. I'm going to give him this physical seat. I'm going to sit on this little seat over here. And he's going to launch the final stand. And then Tech will have, no, Tech won't even have the smart contract. I'm going to put it directly on the Telegram channel first. And as soon as I put it on the Telegram channel, about 6 hours later, I'm going to give it to Tech. And then Tech will upload it into the dashboard. To avoid, I don't want anyone seeing the contract address the moment it gets created, except for you guys. Now then, we've been going on for a while. The Zoom session is an hour and 40 minutes long. I'm just going to skim through just to see if there's anything else. And then we are good for today. Did you guys enjoy the Zoom session? By the way, um, do yourself a favor, not me, because I'm not making anything from the final stand. Once this is uploaded onto YouTube, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to send out the replay and comment something positive about what you learned. Comment your excitement on the final stand. Basically, um, I want you to blast that YouTube comment section with good vibes. Like it, subscribe, and make sure that people can see how excited everyone is. And what that does, by the way, is it builds a culture around the final stand of excitement, enthusiasm, of people that are uh, vested into it, not just with money. Money's cheap. They're vested into it with time, effort, energy, attention, right? And when people see that, it creates it's like a snowball effect, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, which is big news for you. So anything final stand related, always give it a heart, a thumbs up, a comment, get excited about it, because what it does is it shows other people how big things will get. And I want you guys to, um, because you got numbers. I'm just one person, for example, so I can't comment on it myself, because that would be from a biased perspective. So you guys have to comment some really good stuff. Phil said, would you suggest a different Solana address for Mint Hub, United Token, and TFS? Because at the moment we can only enter one address. Um, for security reasons, I could set things up where you'll be able to add in another Solana address specifically for the final stand. Good suggestion. Charlea said, honestly, attracted me so far. You have been delivering. Thank you, Charlea. You've been with us for a while. Proof right there. I've been delivering on basically every promise for years, improving on things constantly. And I will tell you that the final stand will be the biggest one yet. All right, guys, that's it for now. It was a blessing to talk to you. Um, Somebody mentioned towards the beginning, cigars are bad for you. But hey, look, the torch agrees with you here. I do only smoke maybe once a month, once every couple months at most, and it's the purest form of nicotine. I definitely I don't advertise it or tell people, hey, you should do it, it's cool, or anything like that. And I keep myself uh, in shape the best that I can. So it's my only vice. Larry said the great question. Why do we need a contract address when our tokens will automatically be sent to our Solana address? Larry, thank you very much. That's a salute, because that's a great um, comment. Nobody should even be giving a damn about the contract address. Exactly how Larry said. The other person is thinking, I'm going to get in. Arrested nicotine is a brain nootropic. Yeah, when I smoke a cigar and I get to deep work, it helps. But then again, you don't want to smoke too much nicotine. But yeah, nobody here should give a damn about the contract address, because the only thing you should be concerned about is getting into round one. Before I go, give me a type in round one, or one, the number one, if you're going to get in round one in a big way. Damn, that's a lot of ones. That is a lot of ones. Good stuff. So, guys, to prepare to get into round one, um, make your deposits now before the before round one starts, so that when round one starts, all you have to do is click the buy button. All right, that's it for now, guys. Again, as always, thank you very much. You guys have many of you have been around for a long time, years. I've known some of you for many years, and a lot of you for majority of you for many months. I really like this relationship we have. We'll keep it positive, we'll keep it flowing, and the final stand is for you. And I'm gonna put in the most work possible. I will have my first maybe 2 or 3 days break after the launch, maybe around October 11, 12. I'll take a break, but even during the break, I'm going to have conversations with you and keep you updated on everything. But everything is flowing to a point where I'm finally able to take off a day or two. And it's been over a year now. So for this new dashboard. So finally, October 11, 12, I'm going to take a break. And October 10 is when the first distribution takes place. So as long as I know distributions and everything are smooth and everything's running well, then October 11th and 12th, I can take a break. And the 13th, the videographer comes back to do more cool stuff for the membership platform of Cryptonaire Network, by the way. So that's why I have October 11th and 12th off. I hope you will respect that. I'm telling you way ahead of schedule. Of course, the withdrawals will still take place for commissions and everything, even during October 11th and 12th. But apart from that, I'm finally going to take off 2 days. It's been a while. And I'm going to do absolutely nothing. I'm going to do absolutely nothing. I'm going to enjoy some coffee. I'm not going to take the laptop out for the first time in years. This goes out with me every time I go out. Every single time I go out, I have a laptop and I have a backpack. I look like a schoolboy, just to sit down and get to work. And that's how I go outside when I go outside, or when I go to the gym. So October 11th and 12th will be my day off. Apart from that, guys, it's 300 days of solid work. I look forward to it to make the final stand as much of a success as possible. This is Rahman signing out. I'll see you next time.